Good morning, my name is Nancy Hernandez, and I'm going to be presenting on undocumented students. A quick story, when I was in 8th grade, my sister was just applying to colleges. I knew she couldn't get into any college that she wanted. She was top of her class, she was star goalie in her varsity team, and she had an amazing AC team. And her dream school was to go to the University of Notre Dame. So when her admissions came in, she was excited. She cried tears of joy because she got in. However, when decision day came, she had to make the hard choice of not going. Why? Because she couldn't afford it. Why? Because she was undocumented. The same thing happened with my brother, who wanted to go to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. However, he couldn't go because he was undocumented, and my parents couldn't afford it. Now they go to UIC, and they're doing fantastic, but now, it's still devastating to see that my parents have to pay $30,000 a year just to get them through college. So why is this important? Why am I talking about this? Well, next slide. 18 out of the 50 states, 18 states offer in-state tuition to undocumented students. Five of them offering financial aid. However, slide down. With the implementation of DACA, 21 states have allowed undocumented students to receive in-state tuition. Additionally, DACA has allowed undocumented students to overcome their feelings of isolation or depression that comes with being undocumented, and has allowed them guaranteed work, social security number, and asylum from deportation for the next 2 years. Even though it's temporary, it's an amazing thing. All right, I want to see a hand raised. How many students have heard the phrase, undocumented don't pay taxes? Well, I can tell you this, that this may slide down. In reality, the parents of undocumented students pay $11 billion annually, part of which goes into the education fund for the government. And as you can see here, the most significant factor for an undocumented student is the cost. So you might be asking, why, if undocumented parents pay all this money, are their sons and daughters not getting any? Well, it just comes back to the phrase undocumented, just because they can't receive any money. Well, slide down. Well, now if you look here, though, that you can see that college students, this is a survey given by UC Berkeley, and as you can see here, it shows that the undocumented students have had a higher GPA than the national rate. And additionally, they've also, 28% of them have majoring in STEM. What does this mean? It means that a lot of them are showing motivation and resilience just to get through and show that make their parents proud. And STEM fields one of the hardest industries to be in the United States, with the shortest supply of candidates available, is showing the resilience that many undocumented students want to get through. Next slide down. Additionally, many undocumented students offer a different perspective when it comes to the classroom. One of them from Mexico can offer a perspective on corruption that a student from Bakersville, California can't. And additionally, their essays reveal their experiences with being vulnerable for deportation. However, while they have different experiences, which can contribute to the economy and contribute to the United States, they're also the same as many Americans here. They're Americans as well. However, one of them can like soccer and indie rock, or it can like American football and corridos. It's the same. Next slide down. So this is a graph showing the increased rate of students with undocumented parents. So why am I showing you this? You can see the steady rate of undocumented students growing. And what does this have to do with undocumented students and deportation? If you slide down, you can see that there's a correlation between the fear of deportation and their educational outcomes. Because what does this mean? This means that because there's higher fear of deportation, many of them don't focus as much as in their education. And as you can see here, that means many of them don't go to school as well. Why? Because they're afraid that raids might happen at their school. What does this mean for the states? It means the states, they can mean that all these undocumented, majority of these undocumented students can drop out. So what does this mean? This means that the state loses billions of dollars in education funds just with dropouts. So how can we detain this? We can detain this by stopping deportations and allowing students to go to school. really. So how are undocumented students treated less than documented students? Well, according to my interview with UIC student, accounting student, Juan Gonzalez, he said that everywhere you go, there's going to be people that don't like you, that treat you bad. However, it's just the way you look at it that will make you feel better. The way you go through it is what's going to get you through. So what we have to do is we have to educate people on actual facts for undocumented students. Like many of you raised your hands when you said that you heard the undocumented don't pay taxes. Well, we have to teach people that undocumented people do pay taxes, or many of the other myths that we have to get rid of all these myths that many people are saying about undocumented students. Additionally, instead of focusing on the federal government, who hasn't done anything in the past few months to help undocumented students, we need to focus on the state governments where we could get much higher. Why? Because we have a community, and if we have a community of people that want to get through undocumented students here, and if we grow this community, we can be able to get to our local aldermen, our local congressmen, and we can allow our voices to be heard. Additionally, what this means is that many of them can help us. Many of the state governments, if the federal government sees how many state governments are actually approving in-state tuition for undocumented students, maybe they might make this a federal law that helps undocumented students receive in-state tuition. And right now, while this might not seem like a real thing right now, we can get it through. And while it might look like there's not that much resources for undocumented students, if there's a will, there's a way. This is Cesar Vargas. He came to the United States when he was 5 years old. He studied and he passed the bar to become a lawyer. However, the state of New York didn't look at him as a lawyer because he was undocumented. So what did he do? He took his case to the Supreme Court, and he became the first undocumented lawyer in New York and opened up his own practice. So what does this mean for undocumented students? It means that anywhere we go, if we unite and we help undocumented students get their dream for a higher education, we can overcome all these oppressions that happen, even with our educational system now. We just have to start step by steps in order to get through them. Thank you.